Dan, what do you think? Biggest issue in Chicago?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest long-term issue is education. You have to get K through 12 right, or you're not going to produce generations of people that are innovators, that are self-sustaining, that have the skills necessary to compete in the global economy. The biggest short-term issue is the budget. This is a city that is on the precipice of bankruptcy. And so the next mayor's real challenge is, will he take on he or she take on the public sector unions? Will he restructure and rethink city government? Because you cannot afford a 36,000 employee, $6 billion government anymore. And like the United States, like the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago is spending more than it takes in. Eventually, that's not sustainable.
The public sector unions. Let's go to phone calls, gentlemen. I've got Bob on line 4. Bob, how are you this evening? What's your comment? Hi, Bob.
Yeah, I wanted to comment that I don't think Rahm, if he's elected, will really be hanging around that long. I think he has aspirations for the Senate and eventually the White House. So I think if he can be stopped at this point, either through the court, which obviously is letting him on now, or through the election to a more capable candidate, Chico, then we will save ourselves a lot of heartache down the road with another slick guy in the White House from Chicago.
Bob, thank you so much. Dan, George, Bob thinks that Rahm Emanuel is playing political hopscotch. Let me bounce like Peter Cottontail from this job to this office to this office. What do you think about him running for Senate, though? Do you think that's a possibility?
No, I think this is his last stop if he gets elected. I don't think he could get elected statewide in Illinois, much less nationally. So I think this is his play. This is, you know, the more interesting thing is, will the next mayor, be it Rahm Emanuel or somebody else, be a transitionary figure, be a one-termer? And a lot of that is going to depend on, are they willing to make the tough decisions that right-size city government and balance the budget? We'll see.
Well, he will be the next mayor, no doubt.
You think that Rahm Emanuel is the next mayor?
The next mayor, and not only will it not be a one-term mayor, but he's probably going to fall in the footsteps of the Dailies. He's probably going to be the mayor for this city for a very, very long time.
So no Mosley Braun, no Chico, no DeValier, no Doc Walls, no Van Pelt Watkins. It's Rahm Emanuel? You know what? I'm going to go back to phones. Let's go to Les. Les, you're on off 63rd with Garrard McClendon and these wonderful gentlemen here. Les, what's on your mind this evening?
I want to tell you, I love your program. The Chicago program. George, you're brilliant, like in the tradition of my good friend Aaron Freeman. And Dan, of course, I'm on your email list.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
The comment I wanted to make was the inequality of ballot access in this corrupt state of Illinois. Rahm Emanuel, I think, should be on the ballot. However, he is in violation of the statute. As Dan pointed out, the address on his nominating petitions, he has never lived there, let alone in the last year. Now, in my case, Dan, you may know my name, Les Cut the Taxes Golden. The state of Illinois passed a law specifically denying me ballot access, and this case refers only to me, where someone with a nickname that is a slogan cannot appear on the ballot even though he went to the courts and legally changed his name.
Hey, Les, I got to go. Thanks for the phone call, Les. This is very interesting. I see, Dan, you've got that pensive look on your face.
No. I mean, I think that's a really important point that he makes, which is, look, ballot access should be easier. I mean, ironically, at the statewide level, to run for statewide office, you need 5,000 signatures. To run for mayor of the city of Chicago, you need 12,005.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, it's onerous. But it's the difference between what should be and what is.
Yeah.
And what is, I think, should have kept Rahm off the ballot. What should be is a different conversation.
Yeah. Hold tight, Mr. George Willborn. I know you like to talk. So does Dan Proft. We got to go to break. Stay with us on Off 63rd. In less than a minute, mayoral candidate Bill Doc Walls joins us in the forum. Stay with us. He's a mayoral candidate, grassroots organizer, and was a highly instrumental operative in the election of Mayor Harold Washington. Joining us in the forum is candidate for mayor Bill Doc Walls. Doc Walls, welcome to Off 63rd. Thanks for coming. You know, the main question to ask you, why is Bill Doc Walls running for mayor? Talk to me, Doc.
Because I'm the only candidate with real solutions to the problems that we face in the city of Chicago.
That's a nice cliche, but give me something very specific. Give me one thing that's specific.
For example, the city of Chicago hasn't had an industry to call its own since the demise of the stockyards. We were the hog butcher of the world. And then after the stockyards collapsed, we went over to Gary, Indiana, and piggybacked off of the steel mills. We haven't had our own industry since the steel mills declined and we came back home to higher than usual unemployment, 60% in Inglewood, Lawndale, Woodlawn. We need a new industry. The next big industry is nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is the process by which you make products that are cleaner, lighter, stronger, and more precise. It's the next big step after Silicon Valley.
But can you get nanotechnology right here in the Midwest? It's obvious what Silicon Valley, they've carved this niche. So have the institutions such as MIT and in the Boston area. But when it comes to Chicago, is this just industrial town? I mean, we're gonna have to shift into technology?
Well, no. Here's the key. We have University of Chicago, University of Illinois, Northwestern University, IIT, DePaul University, Loyola. We have a great city college system. We have Argonne Laboratories, Fermi Laboratories. We're the transportation hub of North America.
Okay,
We've got vacant factories waiting for nanotechnology is where the silicon chips meets manufacturing. It's the process of building from the bottom up and not the top down. So this is ideally situated. Okay,
so you claim to be the only candidate out there in the wilderness, and I'm going to sick these two on you in a minute. So get ready, Doc. I want to shift gears because I'm in agreement with you thus far. Sure. All right, but let's talk about the polling. 1%, 1 to 2%. Doc Walls is getting in the polls. Why doesn't Doc Walls pack his bags and get out with Dr. Patricia Van Pelt-Watkins? Leave and let the other candidates have the votes. What do you think, Doc?
That's interesting. First of all, they don't poll real people. They don't poll people with cell phones. They don't poll my voting base, which is the young, the disenfranchised, people who probably don't even have a landline or a cell phone. So my people will turn out and vote for us in huge fashion. I got 10% of the vote in the last election. We'll more than double that this time around.
I'm going to open it up to this forum. Dan, George, do you have any questions for, not necessarily Doc, but just any mayoral candidate, but ask Doc the question?
I'm curious, Doc, when you talk about the nanotechnology, which we all agree is huge, and those factories that may produce this type of product, what about the blue collar person? How many people in Chicago that needs a job today, if you was to open up one of these factories, have the capacity to go in there and get a job doing what you think is going to be our way to the future?
Everybody. Nanotechnology is just building the same products that we ordinarily build, just building them in a smarter, more efficient manner. So you got factories that require laborers, machinists, tool and die folks. You have the same thing that you have in any other factory. It's just less waste.
Oh, okay, this is interesting because you still have to answer his question as it pertains to geographical positioning in the United States and the geographical positioning of people who have college degrees.
Absolutely.
Dan, you got a question for Bill Doc Walls?
I think one of the real issue is not necessarily these are the types of businesses we'd like to have in Chicago. It's what is it that's, from a policy perspective, what is it that we're going to do to make Chicago an attractive place to locate these businesses in terms of the tax and spending structure, the business climate here that's particularly hostile, which is why Illinois, and Chicago's a big part of it, is 48th in the nation in job creation the last decade.
Well, you can bet I'm going to do everything that I can do to keep taxes low in Chicago. In Chicago, you can either cut services, increase taxes, or increase your revenue. We're going to increase our revenue. We're going to grow Chicago's revenue base by
launching how can you keep taxes low when you're subject to a county board? I mean, is it going to have to be a strange bedfellow situation where you have to kind of hug up with Tony Preckwinkle?
Well, certainly you have to cooperate with the county board, but you also have to get businesses engaged in the national and global economy. Launch them out there so they can put their products, goods, and their services in the stream of the national and global economy and bring new money, jobs, and revenue back to the city of Chicago.
The taxes are so horrible in Illinois right now. You have governors like the governor of New Jersey running ads here in Chicago telling businesses, come here to New Jersey. That's how bad it is here in Illinois. We are in a really horrible situation. And Chicagoans, we're the hub, we're the center of all of this.
Yeah.
Taxes are important, but it's location, location, location. And Chicago is still the center of the world.
Let me take one more phone call. We've got a caller on the line. Thanks for calling off 63rd. What's your comment or question?
This is Dr. My Eye. My comment is to piggyback off of the comment that Doc Walls made concerning nanotechnology. I am a person who is disabled that used to work in technology. You have a ready-made workforce right here among the disabled community and qualified seniors as well as blue-collar workers. We can open up those factories. I think that I understand clearly what Doc Walls is talking about. We have so much empty factories over in Elton. Many of us are not as dumb as the world thinks we are, and forgive me to anyone who is offended by that, but they don't use us. They use us for volunteer work. They tap our brains. You know, they give us handouts and then want to put us in nursing homes.
That's valid. Thanks for the phone call. We appreciate that. She says that the educational environment's good enough. There's people here that can do these types of jobs. Agree, Doc?
Well, keep in mind, this is a place where the atom bomb was created. Nuclear fusion, nuclear fission. We're good at doing things that have never been done before.
To blow up the world, Doc? To blow the world up?
No, but nanotechnology is going to solve the problems that we have.
Yeah.
What is it? Give me the reason that a business is going to start here or locate here as opposed to Wisconsin or Indiana or New Jersey or most of the other states that have a better, a more hospitable tax and spending climate.
Because we have a factory infrastructure base that's sitting vacant. We have places that would have gone for $40 a square foot in the past, but they now go for $10 a square foot. And we have a rail hub that allows them to export their products out of the city of Chicago and put them into the stream of commerce. So Chicago is not as bad off. Let's quit talking gloom and doom. That's why we need me as mayor of the city of Chicago, because I have the vision necessary to move this city forward and make Chicago forever economically
But Doc,
viable.
Rahm Emanuel is back.
Rahm Emanuel is like Walmart. A lot of stuff from outside coming in and nothing new. He's average. When people hear Rahm Emanuel talk, they're not going to be impressed.
Interesting.
But how much money has Steve Spielberg given you?
Well, I don't need Steven Spielberg's money. I've got the people of the city of Chicago. I've got votes.
You know, you say you have votes, Doc, but when we look at the top 2, top 4 candidates, they may have more votes. Doc, why don't you just drop out now?
According to the media. That's according to the
media.
The
media
that's great.
is the message, Doc.
The media is just one component. There are 5 stages to a campaign. Management, message, money, media, and manpower. They're just one small component, and they can't hoodwink everybody. I'm the thinking person's candidate.
George Willborn. In all due respect, Doctor, you know I've known you for many years.
And
I know
you
to be a very good man, and I know you to be a highly intelligent person. But one thing I want, and I think a lot of people want, they want honesty. They want realism, you know, and I think, you know, and he's saying, kind of saying it tongue in cheek, why don't you drop out? But I mean, I need someone as a father to be realistic. Realistic in where we can go, realistic in what we can do.
So give me an example of one Rahm Emanuel policy that stresses that.
Excuse me?
Give me an example of one Rahm Emanuel policy that you would agree with that stresses that.
Well, you know what? I agree with several things, policies. For example, the policies that he wants to implement as far as cleaning up the crime in Chicago. I think
he's not the only one that has a policy to clean up crime.
You asked me to name one. I'm giving you one.
And Doc, we can see his policy on TV and commercials.
Or go online. He's got every one of the policies.
Promises.
His
promises of spending more money.
When you ask me to give you one, I can give you one, I can give you 2, I can give you 3.
You know what, gentlemen? We're running out of time. No, check this out. I need it quickly. I need George Willborn. Who's the next mayor of Chicago?
Rahm Emanuel will be the next mayor of Chicago.
Dan Proft, next mayor of Chicago?
Well, there's what I hope happens and there's what I think will happen.
What do you think will happen?
Probably Rahm.
Who is the next mayor of Chicago?
Bill Doc Walls.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Hey, the time goes so quickly. Gentlemen, before we end, congratulations to the Chicago Defenders Men of Excellence honorees tonight. A big thanks to my guests tonight, Dan Proft, George Willborn, and Bill Doc Walls for being on Off 63rd. And we thank you at home for watching WYCC, giving you public affairs, politics, education, and pop culture. Thank you for watching Off 63rd tonight. Chicago, from the beach to the burbs. I need you to stay positive, keep your head up, and always be encouraged. We'll see you next week.